I'm reviewing Monster Mash. Monster Mash is the Asylum's newest horror movie and is on VOD Vudu right now. The movie is directed by Jose Prendes and it stars Ethan Daniel Corbett, Emma Reinigal, and Michael Madson. I'm gonna keep this as spoiler-free as possible, but really the story is very straightforward and there's very little that I can actually spoil. Monster Mash is basically Asylum's version of the Universal Monsters Dark Universe, or the Universal Monsters mashups. If you aren't familiar with the Asylum, you should know that it creates such classics as the Sharknado franchise. I'm sure you've heard of those. But also a couple of popular television shows like Black Summer and Z Nation. They make lots of movies, and lots of movies with perhaps questionable quality. They're very low budget films, but are nonetheless sometimes fun and entertaining. They definitely aren't for everybody. Like we're talking sci-fi original movies. Have I been told that I have trash taste sometimes? Oh yes, obviously. Victor Frankenstein is collecting pieces from the most powerful creatures around to form one creature that is unstoppable and immortal. With the help of his creature, Boris, yes, we do get a name for Frankenstein's creature, he kidnaps Dracula's daughter in order to get Dracula to come to him so that he can take the final piece from Dracula. Dracula enlists the help of the Mummy, the Invisible Man, and the Wolfman, and a witch to get her back. Simple, straightforward concept. You have multiple monsters coming together to fight for the greater good. I do really enjoy and like that the villain is a human and the monsters are the heroes in this film. The majority of the film is shot in studio on a set with no more than a 2-camera setup. When you shoot in studio, you get a completely different feel for your film. Like old Hammer films were shot on set in studios. It definitely helps with the sound. I had no issues hearing any of the dialogue. The star of this film, the absolute most amazing individual actor in this film, is the dude who plays Dracula. He is amazing. Absolutely amazing. And it is not just the way that he looks, it is his acting. It is everything about the way he moves, about the way he talks. Even though he has an accent, he didn't overdo it. He had a subtlety to it. He was very intense, but also light at moments. He listened, he responded. I was truly captivated by the Dracula of this film. I might say it's worth watching this film just for Dracula. If they hadn't had the same Dracula, I feel like this film would have been a difficult watch. So yes, they got Michael Madson to play Victor Frankenstein, and I have to say that this was the most disappointing performance ever. He clearly did not want to be there, or didn't know his lines, or didn't care to know his lines. I don't understand why you would cast someone who would do such a poor job, because quite frankly, I can tell you I did not watch this film because Michael Madson was in it. I don't think that casting certain people is a draw for horror films anymore like it used to be. I think if you're gonna be an actor, I don't care how big or how small your role is, you really should give it all and you should care about the craft. But I don't think he cares about the craft, and that just disappoints me to no end. With what they were working with, I feel like the cinematography was pretty decent as well. I mean, considering fewer cameras, in a studio, the lighting was good, you know. They worked with what they had. I mean, obviously you have the most beautiful of shots with the lighting on Dracula. I mean, classic, you have to put that in there. I will say that some of it is shot very dark. I'm sure intentionally so. Don't have a crazy problem with that, but I do feel like the camera had some difficulty at points because of how dark they were shooting it. So had they brightened it up some, it probably would have helped in multiple regards. Universal Monsters is a big world. And when you don't have the budget, making small little sets and making use of what you have is actually pretty good. It feels like theater a bit, which I don't mind. I don't have a single problem with that. That was no issue for me at all. The opening credits are something that legitimately looks like it came from a James Bond 007 movie from like the 80s, which actually made me laugh, and I actually liked. Another little touch that they added was a fright break toward the end of the film before the big finale, and they used to do that in some older horror films to, create anticipation and fright within the film, which was pretty clever. I mean, was it scary? No, this film is not scary. This film is not scary at all. If you're looking for a low budget gore film, this is not it. There is very little gore to this film. Very, very, very little gore. In fact, hardly any blood, which I'm fine with that. I don't care. It doesn't have to be gory for me to enjoy it. I actually didn't feel like I missed it. I was more interested in the creatures themselves. I think the story was pretty competently written. I like the idea of it. I really like how the monsters get assembled, how they come together, and I actually really bought their chemistry. One of the greatest compliments I can give to this film is that I really do like the look of the creatures. Obviously, Dracula is pretty much perfection. The Invisible Man looks great, all wrapped up. It's exactly what you would expect. The Mummy looks great, like a old Universal Monsters mummy. And when the Wolfman transforms, I think he's fabulous. There is definitely some questionable CGI in this film, like most Asylum films. There's only so much you can do with a limited budget. It's not bad though, and it is just at the end of the film. And I kind of accept it. I get it. You can't, have a big blowout, big fight with two massive creatures if you don't have the money. So I don't have a problem with the way that they did that at all. But not having gore, I think they were able to focus on the way the creatures looked more, which was probably a smart decision. Like I said, Asylum films are very, very low budget. So going in, you need to know what to expect from them, which usually means, maybe questionable acting, perhaps questionable effects, any and all of the above, probably all of the above, sometimes even very poor storylines. I will say I really enjoyed the storyline of this film. I do like Asylum films, honestly. I like some trash films, I'm not gonna lie. This one is not so bad it's good, for sure. And it's not as campy as some of the other films that they've had. It's not as over the top as you would think. I feel like they were going for more of an old school monster feature Hammer film. And honestly, not too bad. Not too bad of a job. It really relies on the styling and love of these characters. Overall, if you like old Hammer style films, maybe not quite to that level. They're not as good as the old Hammer style films, but they're trying. And you have a concept of what Asylum films are like, and you maybe enjoy some of those, I think you might like this film. For me, I enjoyed the watch. Pretty entertaining. It's pretty entertaining, except for Michael Madsen. Michael Madsen was so bad in this film, he almost ruined it for me. But luckily, you had Dracula to come and, help pick up the slack. Do you like low-budget horror films from the Asylum? Are you planning on seeing Monster Mash? Let me know in the comments below. And as always, I really do hope that you have the most amazing day, my spooky darlings. I would like to say thank you so very much to my wonderful, beautiful, amazing Patreon members out there. Chris Miziktino, Jimmy Horror, Janie McLaren, Jose Reyes, Phil Smith, Jim Kemmerling, and Deal Demon. If they ever make another Dracula film and they don't use whoever this dude is, they've lost it. Like they're whatever. Then no Michael Madsen. No Michael Madsen. Clearly.